Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Adobe Live. My name is Anna McNaught, and today I am joined by Sara Laninga. Sara, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So nice to have you back here for day 2, and welcome everyone into the chat. Nice to see you all. We have Wade and Voodoo Val, Caroline, welcome. Thanks for being here with us. Sara is an incredibly talented graphic designer and packaging designer. And yesterday we started working on a vegan soap line. And I think we're going to continue a little bit on that today and maybe move into some other packaging design. But before we do that, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you missed the previous stream before this, you can view it on Behance or YouTube. And be sure to check out Sarandon as he creates retro styled ads for Nintendo SP using Photoshop. Also this week, our creative encores are themed. So tune into the Illustrator challenge where you'll learn how to create a logo using the app. And it's every weekday at 11:30 Pacific Standard Time, right before the stream. All right, Sara, so I would love to see a little intro about who you are and take a look at your work. And so anyone who is just joining us today on day 2, you can get to see a little bit about Sara and learn her story and follow along with us today.
Cool. Thank you, Anna. So yeah, if you guys don't know, I'm Sara, and I'm a graphic designer. I do a lot of branding and packaging design. So Instagram is probably like the best representation of my work. I do illustration as well. And I don't know, lots of like fun stuff. I like to do a lot of different stuff. And then YouTube, I do like more design stuff, design like tutorials and behind the scenes. So yeah, that's a bit about me. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a recap for those who weren't here yesterday, or if you just would like a recap. So as Anna mentioned, I've been doing a branding and packaging design project for a soap brand. It's just a like personal project for my portfolio, but I think these are really great to like fill your portfolio with. So I'll just run you through quickly what I did. So I kind of established like some rules around the brand, so a little bit of hierarchy on pack, some call outs, and a little bit of a to-do list for myself for yesterday. We also had a mood board going, so kind of I wanted something really natural and fun, but with like a pop of personality and edge to it. And then yesterday, you guys would have seen if you were here yesterday, I explored fonts as well, and then transitioned into designing the front of pack. And then finally, we worked on the back of pack. And then I did a few little refinements I'll walk you guys through just because I wouldn't have had time to do this today. And I'll explain what I did and why I did it. And then today we'll be focusing on like creating additional collateral and mockups and things like that. So yeah, this is where we left off yesterday. So kind of like fun and edgy and colorful. This specific SKU is like the citrus burst. So yeah, just flavors of like citrus essentially. And then I was kind of feeling like it was looking, in terms of the color, a little bit jarring. And I think the hierarchy with the black and then these bright colors was kind of competing a bit. Somebody made a good call and said it kind of looks like a food brand. So I was like, okay, taking mental note. So then what I did after that was,
oh, wow.
Yeah, kind of softened it because I think the multiple colors were just hard on the eyes. And then had a little gradient for interest. And I think these blocks of colors help to make it feel not so repetitive, and it kind of breaks up the composition with these side panels. And it's all the same color, it's just lower opacity. But again, I felt like the black was a little bit still too intense for the soap brand for some reason. So then I just did it all orange. I feel like that makes it a lot easier when you just stick to one color. It definitely makes it simple. And then what else did I do? I tweaked some of the copy because that's like not that interesting to watch me do that live, tweaking the copy and stuff. So yeah, I tweaked some of the copy. I also added these numbers just kind of for interest, because I felt like the back of pack was a bit like repetitive, and obviously it doesn't need numbers, but I guess it just kind of brings some distinguishable assets to the back of pack as well. And then what I always do before I print is I remove this background, because obviously I'm printing on the textured fleck paper, and then I deleted all these like inner lines, because you don't want that to be visible when you're printing it. So yeah, that's where I left off. I also fully justified the text to make it cleaner. Let's see, looking over what else I did. Yeah, I kind of rearranged the hierarchy on the back of pack. I think initially the contact us was above the soap for soap, which in reality you'd think contact should probably be the very last thing. So just small tweaks like that. And this is kind of the final result. And so what I wanted to do today, is just do mock-ups and things like that. So I think we'll start in Photoshop. So yesterday what I did is I actually printed this out and scanned it in. And what I'm going to do is clear cut it and then add it to like a backdrop, essentially, just to make it look a little bit more believable, because in Illustrator obviously it looks quite flat, so I just want something a little bit more fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks so good. I love the changes that you made. It looks incredible.
That's good.
I'm like obsessed with the colors, and this is for sure a soap that I would buy based on the packaging.
And I think as well, like the font, it still has a bit of edginess, but it definitely feels like more gentle and approachable, which I like. I might just move this a little bit so I can see my computer. So I like where it's at.
So you printed this out yesterday after you finished the design, and then cut it out and scanned it back in. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, okay, that's correct. Cool. I actually have it here, if you guys can see.
Oh,
there's a little soap box. I ended up taping it up just to show you guys it.
Wow, that is adorable. I love it. Might have to have you mail me one.
Yeah, it's so I know, that's like my favorite part, is just printing it out and seeing it like come together. It's definitely really exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always save like the original copy on the bottom layer, just because it's always good to have that. And then I'm just gonna clear cut this, probably be pretty quick because it's pretty like simple, just straight lines. And then we'll drop some backgrounds in the back, and I'll probably do some retouching. As you can see, I had some double-sided tape here because this is the tab that sticks onto this side, so I'll have to do a little bit of retouching and stuff. And I think I may even retouch this soap for soap because it's not super legible. So yeah.
Cool. Everyone's loving it. Everyone's very into it, saying how good it looks.
That's good.
And really loving the monotone colors.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what helped a lot. I felt like the bright colors were just kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I think this helps it a lot to look more like a soap brand and not a food brand. Like you would immediately know, oh, this is for my body and self-care, and like feel comforted and luxurious in the shower. You know, it's very, very much perfect for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think so.
Let us know in the chat if you have any questions for Sara as she's working along here, and any questions too based around the design that she worked on yesterday. We can for sure recap on that as she's working along.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice because clear cutting is always quite mindless. I feel like when you do quite full-on work, I know a lot of people don't like clear cutting, but I kind of find it refreshing sometimes just to do, the mindless clear cutting, unless it's like a lot of clear cutting.
Absolutely. Christine asked which printer you were using at home.
That's like my number one question, and it's just like a pretty standard printer. So it's a Canon TR8 6220. Kind of a mouthful. TR8 6220. It's just like kind of like a standard home printer, but it's nice because it can take like thicker cardstock, which I feel like a lot of printers can't. So this paper was like kind of thick, but it feeds it through the printer just fine, which is mainly why I like this printer, because I like to use like fun paper and stuff.
Yeah, that is super helpful actually, because I'm in the market for a new printer too. So Val, I don't know if you caught the name of that and could put it in the chat for everyone. But that would be great.
If not, I can repeat it. Yeah, it's kind of hard printer name to remember because it's just numbers. And then I also like to actually make the crease marks on it before I scan it in too, because again, I just think it makes it a little bit more believable. And I just make the creases with like, I score it with the back of a kitchen knife, which helps it to like, because if you didn't do that, it would get all kind of frayed and funny. And it just gives it like a really nice clean line as opposed to like a crazy line, essentially.
Yeah, so can you repeat it? Was it TR8620?
I think 6200, I'm pretty sure.
6200.
It may be called a Canon Pixma and then that number, or just Canon, but it's like just a black printer with a little screen on it. Yeah, just like your everyday at-home printer.
Awesome. And you like it?
I really like it. I've used it a lot. When I mentioned in the first Adobe I used to live in New Zealand, and I had that same printer, and then I bought the same one when I came back here because it's just such a reliable printer. And I used to sell stickers on Etsy, and I'd print the stickers on my printer, and it was like it had done its time. It had done a lot of printing in the span of a year, and it like worked really well. So I definitely really like that printer.
Okay, that's so good to know. I feel like a printer that can handle packaging design and stickers is huge.
yeah, definitely. Okay. So that's where I'm at now. And I just added like a 1 pixel feather or whatever, just so it doesn't look so crisp and intense. Looks a little bit softer. And then what I like to do is just convert this to a smart object. And I like to use the camera raw filter just to kind of brighten everything up. The camera raw filter, I feel like kind of mimics Lightroom, I guess. I don't know. I like the controls in here. And if you make it a smart object, everything is live and you can go back and adjust it later, which is nice.
Yeah, I love camera raw. It's probably my favorite feature in Photoshop.
Yeah, me too. I really like it.
So powerful.
Definitely. Actually, let's just do this full screen.
Yes, great question. Val asked, we touch a little bit on clear cutting, but maybe you can go over that again and the importance of it for anyone who's unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of different ways you can clear cut. Like you can use the direct selection tool, or you can use the pen tool. I think there's like even other ways you can do it. But I tend to use the pen tool because it's like a lot more precise, and especially with something like this where you've got like clean straight lines, it's pretty easy and beneficial to just use the pen tool as opposed to like the direct selection tool, because sometimes with the direct selection tool it can kind of get fuzzy a bit, but then in some instances I feel like the direct selection tool is better, so it just depends, but I just prefer the pen tool.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then in terms of actually cutting it out, Missy asked if you used a Cricut or by hand.
I just did it by hand, and then I have like a little, it's kind of like a hole puncher, but it rounds the corners, so it gives it really nice round corners, and you just clip it off, which is really handy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I used to have a Cricut, but when I moved here I sold the Cricut.
Yeah, I got one in I don't know, like a influencer package or something, and I was thinking about selling it, but everyone's like, you have to learn to use it. It's the best tool.
I feel like there's just so many random instances where you're like, oh, I could really use a Cricut, which is so random, but yeah.
I'm sure. Did you use it for your stickers?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But it was a lot of work. I think if I sold stickers in the future again, I'd probably get them like printed elsewhere. It was just a lot of work, but it was really, really fun though.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. So I'm just using the patch tool to get rid of anything that's like a little bit too distracting, like this spot here is a little bit big. Whoops. But you can even use, I don't know, you can use a lot of these different tools. I think the spot healing one would work really good too. Okay, I think that looks okay. And then I'm gonna drop, try out some photos behind this just to add more interest. I feel like the photos as well kind of help to tell like a bigger picture, and it's like more opportunity for kind of like telling the story and stuff. So let's see. And then these images, I got some of them on Adobe, and then I've got some of them on, I think, Pixels and Unsplash, which are like free stock places. So any of those places are really good for stock imagery.
Yeah, those are my favorites. I love using those for free ones. And then for anyone who doesn't know too, using the free tab in Adobe stock is always great as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like I like this sky texture, but I feel like it's a little bit too grainy. This one's kind of fun. I might also just add a drop shadow just so it, like the tiniest drop shadow. I wouldn't normally add drop shadows, but because it already has like shadows on the creases and stuff, I feel like it kind of makes sense in this instance.
Ruth was wondering if you ever use Adobe Dimension for packaging design.
No, I haven't. Is that recommended for? Is that fun and handy?
Yeah, let us know, Ruth.
Yeah.
I've only toyed around with Adobe Dimension for like so it's their 3D program, and I've played around with it in terms of like little beach balls and astronauts and like random weird things just to play, but I wonder how it is in terms of packaging. If anyone in the chat knows, let us know.
So is it like 3D like mock-ups and stuff, or like to make
it would be for making I don't know about mock-ups. I think yes. I would say you could probably make like a cube and turn it into like a soap box and then put the artwork on it. But I've only used it for, like I said, like making random 3D renderings that you can move around, but never in terms of mock-ups. But I assume that would make sense.
Yeah, I've been wanting to find, maybe I'll look into that because I've been really wanting to learn how, like a little bit into 3D and how to make my own mock-ups, because sometimes I feel like I'm envisioning something very specific, but I can't like find what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I feel like that would be perfect then.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a whole different ballgame though. I have no idea how to do anything 3D, so
oh my God,
me tricky.
Yeah, 3D is so over my head, like because so much of it is based around math and especially like with Blender and Cinema and like connecting the things together to make I don't even know what it's called, but oh my God, my brother is really into it, and he shows me the Canvas workspace, and it's all these things linked together to make the 3D design actually happen, all based on math formulas.
Oh, weird. Okay, maybe that does sound too hard.
But I've heard it's pretty easy to learn once you get into it. So Ruth said yes for mockups. Colby said it works really well for 3D renders to make custom mockups. David said that he's been using Blender. So yes, let's see. Oh, it has a new name. So Adobe Dimension is now Adobe 3D Stagger.
Oh, okay.
That's what Val just said.
Adobe 3D. Okay, I'll have to look into that. It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just added, I'm kind of gravitating towards this orange. I feel like it's a lot, but I kind of like that it's kind of full on. The original has a bit of noise. So to match the background with this dye line, I've just created a clipping mask onto the packaging with a noise layer. And then I think I'm gonna might do overlay because I feel like that kind of matches the amount of noise with these oranges. I'll just look at these other ones. If you guys have any preferences on which one, I think I'm gravitating towards this one, but they all kind of look nice.
I think, yeah, I definitely like the first one that you had.
Yeah. I like this one, but I think it's maybe too much orange. Like it's kind of hard to distinguish. Okay.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah.
Martina has a good question. What have you learned the most from printing your designs? For example, font sizing troubles.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely font sizing troubles. And then like, for example, with dye lines that you've made yourself, you'll learn once you print it out very quickly, like, oh, things are not folding together properly. And it's kind of like a trial and error. I did a packaging project in university for my final university assignment. And I had never done any packaging prior to that. And so it was definitely trial and error of like, things aren't folding up properly, or like the product is just fully like slipping out of the bottom or things like that. So you learn a lot about how dye lines like fold together, and yeah, text and like sizing and stuff and legibility and things like that.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah.
And David wants to know what it was like working at FUMAN.
Oh yes, FUMAN. FUMAN was my first like design company I worked at as a full-time junior designer right outside of university, and they're based in New Zealand, and it was like definitely such a good experience. I learned like pretty much everything I know about branding and packaging there, because with my degree we mostly did like publications, like books and stuff, and we didn't really learn much about branding or packaging at all. So I learned like pretty much everything I know on the job, to be honest. So it was really fun, and being able to work like with really talented designers was super beneficial, and they were all super cool people. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I definitely recommend, like, for those who are like starting out, if you can find a job at a like smaller design studio, I feel like you get a lot more responsibility, which is a good thing because you just learn a lot faster. So yeah, I liked working. There was only like 5 of us, but we worked on like some pretty large scale projects, so it was definitely really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it was so fun. So I'm just going in now. I shouldn't have outlined this. All of these soap for soaps are outlined, so I'm just gonna recreate this really quick and make it more bold, just so that it's like legible, because obviously it's not legible here. And I'm just going to like retouch this old one out and like put a new one in. I also think for anyone who's starting out in design, if you can't, like, I think working at a design studio first, even if you are like in the long run wanting to be a freelancer, I do find it quite beneficial to like work for a company at least for a little bit, just to learn like even just like the business side of things, and learn from like really talented like senior designers and things like that. I just think it's like such a valuable learning experience, and then if you want to eventually go off and do freelance, you'll have all this knowledge up your sleeve, which is really good.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was first getting started in design and the art world, I was like, I'm going to go freelance immediately.
Yeah.
And someone gave me that same advice and was like, no, you need to kind of like experience things a little and learn the business side. And I'm so glad I did, because as much as I hated working a full-time job at the time, like it taught me everything that I know about now running my own business.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny too, because like, at least for me, when I first left university, I thought I knew a lot. Like,
yeah,
you kind of think like, oh, I'm okay, I could just do freelance. But it's like, you actually like, you're like, oh, actually, I don't know anything really.
Totally.
But, yeah.
I know. It's like you get out of school, you're like, oh, I know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So did you study in university, Anna, or are you self-taught?
No, so I studied. I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for a year and a half, majored in graphic design. And then I took a photo course, and I'd kind of done a lot of photography in high school, but I was like, oh, this is really fun, actually learning like the true art of photography. And then I wanted like a more well-rounded education. So I transferred to Ithaca College in upstate New York, and then ended up majoring in photography and minoring in design instead. But I wish I majored in business. I think that would have been more useful.
Yeah, I know. I always think about that too. I'm like, oh, I should have like done something, like even just a minor in business or something could have been very helpful.
I know. Yeah, but definitely learned a lot from college. I feel like more social skills than anything else, like just in terms of, I think, for a job and like how to interact with people in general. You know, in high school, you're like in your own little bubble, and then college helps you expand. But
yeah, that's such a good point. Okay, just trying to fit this in. So, some of these things are always so tricky with typesetting and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I may just retouch this out, even though it's barely visible. I'll just quickly retouch it out. And hopefully towards the end, I'm planning on kind of laying this up as if it was like a presentation to a client, I think. So just like putting it in like an Illustrator and just laying up all the mockups together, hopefully. Let's do...
Oh my God, Val, I love Incubus. She just said the song on Adobe Live playlist always reminds me of the band Incubus.
That's funny.
I can't hear it, but I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it because I'm obsessed with Incubus. They were my first concert.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I'm curious to see. Oh, okay. Did you just lower the opacity?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the best way to, maybe I'll make this like an off-white and then lower the opacity. And I might even add like maybe a bit of like blur to it just so it doesn't look so crisp. Just so it kind of matches the graininess of the rest of the artwork.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was waiting to see you do, is because I feel like that's the hardest thing when you have a natural piece from the actual world, and then you're trying to blend in digitally created text or art. How do you make it look like it's really there?
Yeah, that's a good, I'm thinking blur and then maybe noise too. We'll just see how it goes. If anyone else has recommendations, definitely let me know too.
I think that's a good, I think that's a good choice.
Cool.
See how it looks. Let's see. Okay, from Martina, do you have any tricks when it comes to editing your design process videos? I'm starting on it and it takes me a lot of time to do it.
If you're referring to like the kind of little videos I make on like TikTok or like the reels and stuff, I usually use Premiere just because I find it way easier. Like I know some of those apps you can edit directly in your phone, but I just find Premiere way easier, and I just like dump all my files in and then just cut them into short little like 2 or 3 second, because I know with like Instagram and TikTok it's all about the like super fast paced, like scene to scene, very fast. So that's kind of what I do. And then I just use I film usually with a DSLR, but even like the iPhone, half the time I'll use the iPhone and it looks like really nice as well. And then sometimes I'll just film like long 10-minute clips and I'll just cut up the little bits that I need.
Cool. So you're mostly putting it together then on your desktop computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm always curious to hear about people's video editing process, whether they do it on their phone or on the computer. Like my husband only will do it on the computer, where I'm only my phone. Like I can't edit videos, even if it's funny, even if they're like full videos that I need to make on the computer, I'm like, oh, let me do it on my phone because I'm so much faster. But I think it makes more sense to do it in Premiere.
Yeah, I think I've just gotten used to doing it in Premiere and like on the phone as well. Like Premiere, you can always like go back and fix things and change things, but on the phone, it's just I don't know, not the same, I guess.
I know. Yeah, it definitely is tough.
Okay, I'm just gonna draw this in. This probably isn't like a recommended way to do it, but it's so tiny. I'm just gonna cover that up with the brush tool. Okay, I think when you look up close, you can tell, but I think like this will probably just live on like my social media platforms. So I think, and even if this was on like a website or like a portfolio or something, I don't think you'd really be able to tell.
Yeah, I feel like it's really good.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it. I was thinking, and if we have time, I was thinking about maybe like it could be cool to have the logo be like embossed or something instead, and faking that in Photoshop could be kind of cool. But I'll hold off on that for now, and maybe we can come back to that if there's time. I'll just save this really quick too.
Shabir asks, how do you know the dimension of each flap of the package when you start designing in Illustrator? I believe you touched on this a little yesterday, but if you can just talk about that again, that would be great.
Yeah, so I normally like the most important place to start is the front of pack. So you just measure your soap bar and then you draw out, like you can even just put in, like say it's like, I don't know, 50 by 80 or whatever. And then, just make it black. And then you just need to know the sides, like the sides of the soap bar, whatever product it is. And then you'd replicate like the back of pack, obviously. And then take into consideration, like you'll need an additional tab to stick onto the other end when it like wraps around. And oftentimes I'll just print out little tests on just like normal cartridge paper and just see how everything folds up. I always do that before I print out on like the nice paper. So it is just a bit of trial and error, and you can look up like how other die lines like lock together and fold up and stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
I think with real client work though, typically like from my experience, they would come to you with the die line ready to go. So you wouldn't really need to worry about that. They'd have the die line and all of it like set up with the printer notes and stuff, all ready to go, and even the barcode.
Yeah, that's always really helpful when clients have that.
Okay, now I'm just gonna create a separate Illustrator file just for everything that's kind of like finished work. And I'll kind of set it up like as if I was presenting to a client.
So while you're setting that up, Val asked a really good question about, let's see, how did she word it? Moments in our creative journeys when we feel uncertain, times you feel you failed, and how you have overcome those times. Do you have any experience of this and any tips?
Yeah, I think at the very start of my design career, I think when you go into the real world and you're like exposed to all these like incredibly talented people, I think it can definitely feel a bit intimidating or discouraging because you're like, oh, I'm not on that level and I want to be contributing. But I think it's important to not be hard on yourself and understand that we're all at different stages of learning and everybody was in that position at one point. And yeah, I mean, it's all like a learning experience and it's just practice, and everybody has like ugly work. It's just not always put out on social media. And that's why social media can also be very deceiving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think just having patience with yourself and understanding that everybody's in different points of their journey.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I feel like I'm always on a constant roller coaster in my own creative mind of feeling like I'm finally excelling with something and then feeling like, oh, I'm back to where I started, or maybe like taken down a few notches and going through those uncertain times again of, am I even a good artist, or what I'm creating the right path for me, and just continuing to like work through that creatively and continuing to make work and like trying not to compare yourself to what you see online and just create from your heart and your soul. And I think that's always an important way to get through those uncertain times.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, I see a few people in the chat talking about it, and none of you are alone in those feelings. We all relatable. Go through it, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're just starting or years and years of being an artist. My grandfather was a children's book illustrator, and up until the day he died, he had self-doubt and uncertainty within his own artwork. So it's like something you just have to start to learn to ride the wave.
Yeah, definitely. I remember, I think I might have mentioned this yesterday, but when I first started working in a design studio, I was like so nervous to even have anyone like see my screen unless everything like looked perfect and finalized. But yeah, I mean, we all have those, rough stages, and yeah. I mean, you guys have seen like my whole creative process yesterday too. There was like a little bit of a roller coaster. I feel like, so yeah.
Totally.
So I normally, when I'd present to a client, I'd flesh out all of the brand identity first and get that approved and then do packaging design. But for the sake of this Adobe Live, I kind of just want to have everything like in one presentation deck. So yeah, this would be like a whole separate thing. And this is more for like, you wouldn't really present something aesthetically like this to a client. You'd probably present something more like this, because this is more of like just something that would go in your portfolio or something.
Okay.
And then I also scanned in just the paper on itself, just on its own, as a blank paper. And I might use that to put the logos on.
Jamel asked, what size canvas and artboards do you work on in Illustrator?
I'd usually just do 1920 by 1080.
Okay.
Or if I know it's like for Instagram, I'll just do some sort of square format, like maybe 3000 by 3000, kind of just randomly pick something. But yeah, normally just like 1920 by 1080.
And is that what you're using now to lay out this set?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is 1920. This one, the first one I did, I think it's like US letter, just because I knew I'd be printing it. I just wanted them all to be the same. But for this, just, 1920 by 1080.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'll just save this off.
And for anyone who is just joining us in the chat or over on YouTube, Sara is now finishing up the design that she created yesterday and laying it out for what it would look like if she were to, if she were to present it to a client. So this is really good for any of you that are just getting started on some client work, or maybe trying to figure out a way to make it look clean and professional when you show your work off to your clients, or even for your portfolio. Really good finishing touches here.
So yeah, usually I do logos and then like sub logos if there's sub logos. And then I also like to do just like a few additional collateral for them. So like either a business card or like a couple Instagram tiles, or even like Instagram highlights or something like that, just to show like how the brand like works in different scenarios. I think it's always good to show a client how their brand can kind of be diverse in different areas.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I should present it this way or this way, because this is on pack, but I think off of pack it would probably be more like this usually. Yeah. Okay, and then, oops, pull that out. I also have some mock-ups that I'm thinking of doing, so I'll pull those up. I tend to like to shoot the products themselves because I do like go through the effort of making this. I usually would shoot it, but it's been kind of cloudy the past few days. So I've got some pretty cool mock-ups. Yeah, so this one's cool because it's got like, you can edit the text, like what's embossed, which is cool. So I'll do that. And then originally it was just the bar of soap, and then I like attempted to add this box because I want to obviously showcase the box as well. And then I think you can also alter the colors, which is pretty cool. So I'll grab the front of pack. And then I like to add a rectangle. This will help in a minute, as you'll see in a minute how this can help. So just take that. And then I use the box as a guide, and then I'll delete it from the smart object after the fact. And then, yeah, just using perspective warp, just to kind of warp it onto this angle here.
Such a great tool.
I know, so handy. Okay, cool. And then I think I'll make this all orange too.
Harlow asked about using vanishing point for perspective in this. Is that something you would ever do, or?
I haven't used that tool too much. Is that like the 2-point vanishing points?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I haven't used it in this instance either. I usually use the perspective warp. So I wonder if it would, I assume it would work for this.
Yeah, I've never used it, but I definitely will check it out and see how that works.
Yeah. I think, I always say on these streams, like the beauty of all of these Adobe programs, and especially with Photoshop, at least from personal experiences, there's multiple ways to do something similar. And I think that's really cool, because then everyone can have their own workflow and their own style. And then in the end, it kind of gives your work a unique look. That's specific to you. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I noticed when I used to work at a design studio, and if we were ever working on other people's Photoshop files, like everybody just like, I'm like, oh, I never would have thought to set it up that way. That's so interesting.
I know. Or like when you collaborate on a project and you open someone else's Photoshop file and you're like, what? This makes no sense.
True. And
then vice versa.
It's definitely scary, like when all the layers, like, you know what's going on in all the chaos, but like it's so overwhelming once you open somebody else's. Because you kind of only know like yours. Okay, I'll just do the side of pack as well.
David asked, is there anything you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
That's a good question. I think like this is kind of a simple answer, but like keyboard shortcuts would have saved me so much time if you just learn them right off the bat. That was one of the things in university, like I just didn't really, like I didn't actively try to learn, I guess. Yeah, so keyboard shortcuts probably.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good one. Speeds up the workflow.
Yeah, definitely. I guess you kind of learn that with time though, too.
Yeah.
It's looking like this side of the box is a little bit wider than the mock-up, but we'll just make it work.
Yeah, that's fitting really well.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
So do you tend to always do mock-ups like this for every personal project, or is it just certain ones? Like, do you ever just take your layout flat and put it in your portfolio?
It just depends. I mean, since I don't, as I mentioned yesterday, I don't have like an official like portfolio website or anything. So I'll typically like do like one or two kind of mock-ups or slides at most. So like this is something I like to do a lot, is these like flat lays, just kind of because it encapsulates everything, I guess, and then post it on my Instagram. And usually with these projects, I'll also post like a reel and a TikTok with behind the scenes. So that's kind of like the max of what I would normally do. But if I'm like really excited on the project, I would definitely do a more extensive portfolio piece like this. And then like oftentimes the more formal kind of extensive projects will also post to Behance, just because I use that as like my more professional portfolio, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then when you're doing your reels and TikToks, are you just recording your screen through like QuickTime, or how do you kind of go about doing that?
Yeah, so I'll record my screen during QuickTime, and I also like to record like sometimes behind my shoulder at the screen, or like assembling the boxes and stuff, just so that the whole reel isn't just a screen recording. I kind of want different angles and stuff going on, just so it's more enjoyable for the viewer. So that's why I do like to create these like tangible products, just because for the reel it adds more like visual interest, I guess, when it's not just my screen being shown. So I do like to do that.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I was kind of stalking your TikTok a little bit yesterday and need to study your work a bit more, because it looks like you have gotten a huge following on TikTok and have really, as you said yesterday, have kind of grown your clients from that too, right?
Yeah, it's so crazy the way that social media can work. I feel like I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at, like in doing freelance and stuff, if it wasn't for like TikTok and Instagram and all the support and everything. Because oftentimes I'll post a project and then immediately after, or like a few days after, I'll get all these inquiries of like people inquiring for very similar projects.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's kind of crazy, like when you put stuff out there, sometimes people will inquire about like that specifically, which is cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring and encouraging, and everyone in the chat, take note. This is a great way to get clients. And I'm sure it's just kind of motivating for yourself too, to like a new approach and try some different things and see what people will like.
Yeah. And it's like a free form of marketing too. Like you don't have to pay, and I don't know, social media is such a cool thing.
Exactly. Ruth said that the tone of your voice is so calming and smooth. I feel so relaxed. You should try to start a podcast meditation.
Podcast meditation. Oh, so
yes,
good.
I agree.
Thank you. I used to like hate here after like posting more reels and stuff. I kind of got used to my voice, but I feel like a lot of people have that issue where they're like, oh, I just don't want to hear my voice like through audio and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely get used to it doing social media and yeah. And then Carlos said, this is the proper way to present a mock-up to a client. I usually just screen capture it and then send it to my client. Thank you for this wonderful lesson.
That always works too. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's like, this is a really, really good lesson in how to send things over to clients. And I think when clients see stuff like this, then they can really visualize it, and it helps them sign off on your design a lot faster too, versus being like, what is this?
Yeah, that's such a great point. Yeah, the design studio I used to work at, FUMAN, we always did mock-ups like that, or tried to if we had the time, just because it's a lot more convincing when a client sees like, this is what it could look like, and it gets them really excited. So
yes, absolutely. David was wondering what the clients from TikTok are like. He said, I assume lower budget, but I could be wrong.
That's a good point. You can kind of tell from the first email if they write like a very nice email. Maybe they like have a bigger picture, or maybe have a bigger plan for their project and therefore like a little bit bigger of a budget. But I mean, I think you'd be surprised. Like one of the biggest, like I usually work with smaller entrepreneurs and stuff, but late last year I had Free People in collaboration with Levi's reach out to me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, how did they find me? Like, it's just so crazy. So, I mean, there's definitely companies that are larger and will reach out and have bigger budgets, but also you'll have like, 15, 16-year-olds who've got, a dream project, and I feel bad, but it's maybe not the right fit, I guess. But you definitely get a wide range of people reaching out for sure when you post your work on TikTok, just because I do feel like TikTok is like maybe a bit younger and more Gen Z in general. But yeah, it's still super cool though. And I usually like to, when I get those kinds of messages and maybe it's not the right fit, I'll always recommend like other designers who I do think would be the right fit and stuff. I don't want to like leave them hanging or anything. So I always try to give them like lots of other ideas and ways they can take their next steps.
Yeah, that is so awesome that you do that, because I feel like a lot of people don't do that or don't have time for it. So it's really nice that you suggest people that could handle the job.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
What did you do for Free People?
So I did like an ad campaign. They were collaborating with Levi's on like some 70s jeans. And so basically, sorry, I'm just saving this on my other screen. And so basically they wanted like 6 artworks that were going to be displayed as like an ad campaign on their social media. And they would be like mimicking 70s album covers, and the models would all be wearing the Levi's jeans. So basically I designed 6 like imaginary album covers for an ad campaign for Free People in Levi's.
Oh my God, so cool.
Yeah, it was so fun. And just such a fun project. And it was so cool because they reached out to me specifically for my style. And in the email, they're like, we love this style and this aesthetic, and can you do something like this? And I was like, oh, that's perfect when somebody reaches out and they just want exactly your style. And it's just really fun.
Oh my God, that's so cool. What a dream client.
Yeah, definitely so fun. But I do like love and have a special place in my heart for like small entrepreneurial brands. Like I'm working with a skincare brand right now. Her name's Angela and her brand is Karma Care. And it's so fun because I don't know, that there's just so much passion in like people who are creating their own brands from scratch, and it's definitely very fun. And yeah, they also, I feel like with smaller brands, put a lot more trust in you because they don't have like already super structured brand guidelines that they need to adhere to. So they're always like, just have fun with it, just make it look cool. And it's just kind of like, yes, this is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pull up another mock-up. I'll do.
And we have a couple questions about clients for you as well, if you're ready for some more questions.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm not just like sliding things around as I'm talking. But yes, go for it.
Yeah, and if you do something that you want to call out,
okay.
Feel free to interrupt me if I'm asking questions.
No, that's all good. That's totally fine.
So Carlo asked, how do you handle clients with a lot of revisions?
So I try to make it pretty clear at the start, like in the quote, I'll write how many revisions are like entailed in the quote. So I usually do 2 rounds of revisions, and then anything further than that, if it's like just one more round of revisions, I'll just charge by hour, or like if it's a whole big thing, then I'll just write up a new quote. But I think just like setting boundaries is important, and just, I don't know, there's always a very nice and respectful way to do it. It can be tricky when there's like a lot of people on the other end giving their input, and there's like 10 different people with different opinions, all wanting different things, and then it becomes this mixed match of like ideas. So I don't know, I think it's always good to, I mean, you're the designer and they are paying you for your input and advice. But I think it's just meeting in the middle. Obviously, they're paying for your service, so you do want to give them what they want. So I don't know, just good communication is always number one.
Yes, absolutely. Val was just saying that in the chat as well, like being totally upfront and honest right from the beginning, being willing to talk about prices with your client. Always kind of helps set things off so everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, definitely. The last thing you'd want is them to like not, go into it not really knowing what's going on and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. This is really cool what you're doing here. Maybe let's just slow this down and talk about how you're giving it a little bevel.
Okay, so to be honest, I'm not fully sure. This was a mock-up and it had these, so sometimes you can get mock-ups and you basically just drop your design in and they've already got it set up for you, which is really nice, but it is looking a bit like soft. I feel like it doesn't look super believable. So I'm honestly not too familiar with how the bevels and embosses work. So I kind of just slide to see like visually what looks best. But this is super handy, the bevel and emboss, when you do want to create like something that's like cut out into something.
Yeah, it looks very spot on. Like I'm always impressed with how these turn out with the bevel and emboss.
I think the shadow looks pretty dark. Okay.
And where did you get these mock-ups from?
I think Creative Market.
Okay.
I think I was looking on Etsy as well to because Etsy actually has mock-ups sometimes, which I would never think of, but I'm pretty sure Creative Market. Yeah,
I didn't even think of Etsy. That's such a good idea, because I've actually bought website templates from Etsy, but I never even thought about mock-ups.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Jordan asks, do you make up projects when you get started? How do you start making a mock-up for something that doesn't exist? Where do kind of like maybe the ideas come from?
I think the original like very spark of an idea usually comes a lot of the time from like even just being in grocery stores. Like I have a grocery store near me called Central Market, and I think it's local to Texas, but they've got all the coolest like trendy brands, and every time I go in there I'm like snapping pics of all the packaging and like this just like sparks so many ideas. So like, or even going into like Sephora, if you're into like makeup packaging or anything like that, I feel like in the real world, kind of it helps to spark ideas a lot of the time. So that's kind of where my ideas start. And then sometimes I'll like buy the product and actually take apart the dye line and see how it's made. But that's how my ideas usually start.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really fun to look at packaging in the real world. And especially now after seeing a stream like this, for those of you watching, take a look at packages that you see in the store and notice what colors are they using? How did they cut it out? What was unique and different about it? And in a world where we have so many endless options, how does a buyer choose your brand? And so much of it has to do with your packaging, right? And so this is a really, really good lesson for all you designers out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's such a good point to look in the store, especially if it's like an actual client where they are going to be existing in stores, is to look at the competitors and look, like you could even like say this was going to exist in the store. I could take this into the soap section, set it on the shelf and take a step back and see how does this look visually with everything else? Is it popping? Like what's it conveying? That's always like super helpful. And you can even send that photo to the client of like, here's how your brand looks against everyone else's.
What a great idea. That is gold.
I know some design studios that will even go to the extent of looking at the lighting around and how it casts on the packaging. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely inspired. I'm like, maybe I need to get back into packaging design, play around a little.
Yeah. Also added a little bit of noise. I feel like noise kind of gives that tactile, natural feel. I always feel like I always add noise to every project of mine.
Yeah. Noise really helps kind of blend that digital look.
Yeah, definitely.
We have our artist spotlight coming up soon in about 20 minutes. And for anyone that's interested in submitting your own portfolio or a friend's portfolio, click on the artist spotlight tab over in the chat and go ahead and submit, and you might see your work featured here on Adobe Live.
Let's see, where did I save this?
This is looking so cool. I love seeing it all laid out like that.
Yeah, I know. It's always so satisfying to kind of tidy everything up after like the chaos of like all the artboards being crazy.
Yep. So what would happen if you were, well, I guess you did say that you would have these checkpoints along the way with clients where you'd be showing the brand. And what would happen if you got to this phase in your design and they're like, I think we're going to change the name? Are you basically starting over? Is there anything that you can do to fix it? Like that would just be a nightmare.
I think that actually happened one time at an old design studio that I worked at. I don't know, like for me as a freelancer, I guess, I'd probably just tell them like, this isn't outlined in the quote and this would need an additional fee and stuff like that. But I guess, I would definitely help out if I could. And I don't know, that's a really tricky one.
Yeah.
It's very tricky. I guess you can't give up on them now though, after you've invested all that, but as long as you're like getting paid fairly and, not allowing yourself to be like fully pushed around, I guess, But it is tricky. That would be a very, tricky thing to navigate for sure.
Yeah, because you're pretty much going back to the beginning, unless they're just like, let's take everything as it is, keep the font the same, and change the name to another 4-letter word. Maybe they change the brand to soap, and then you just could fit it in, other than printing, cutting, redoing half your work.
I mean, I think like if they were all good on like the visual language and the overall feel that it's conveying, I mean, you could keep all the copywriting and the storytelling and maybe try to navigate a different logo into that and a different brand name. You might not need to start fully from scratch.
Yeah. Oh my God. That would be horrible.
That would be tricky.
Jordan said, thank you. This really helps. As someone who's going to be graduating soon, I'd like to bring some focused design work into my portfolio, but not really knowing where to start. So sounds like this is very helpful.
Yeah, that's good. I think as well, like, from my experience, it doesn't seem like creative directors really mind whether your work is personal projects or real world, because I think at the end of the day, they just want to see like what you're skilled at. And I feel like personal projects are the best way to show what you're good at. Because oftentimes, especially if like you're starting out or just looking for internships, sometimes we don't have anything in our portfolios that's real world. And so we kind of need to create imaginary projects. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like creating any sort of spec work for your portfolio is always really good. And we've told some of our students in our courses, go out and, like, for photographers, go out and shoot your Osprey backpack and pretend that they were a brand, or like your granola bars that you're eating, and like build a whole campaign. And I feel like that kind of stuff like really helps to show your skill set. And same in this case with packaging design, kind of, just taking these sample designs.
Okay, I think so. Right now I'm basically just creating like a little, just like a logo that's been beveled or embossed into paper. I think I'm just gonna place it here, like a little square here, to kind of balance this out, because obviously this doesn't fit in the 1920 by 1080. And then I maybe will even do some business cards as well.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. But this I'm not the best with bevel and emboss, so just trying to see what will work best.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely just clicking through is always a good way.
Yeah,
it's hard to know, and each project will end up looking different too, even if you use the exact same settings.
Yeah. I wonder if I could, let's see, because this, I think if it was like blind embossed, you wouldn't want the color to be visible. So I wonder if I could separate this layer, this bevel and emboss. Okay. I feel like that's the right direction. It's just not exactly right.
What are you trying to do? Separate it?
Yeah, like, so if it was like blind embossed, so there's not actually ink on the paper, it's just been like pressed in. Because I think the gray, like it's just a gray that's been color burned, but I think if I separate the bevel and emboss, but I'm kind of wanting like a shadow instead of this highlight. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to see to help you with it, but I'm not even sure without clicking around either.
Yeah. If not, we can leave this for now and come back to it. Yeah, I'll just leave this for now.
So Becca said, if you set the fill to 0, the effect will still show. I'm not sure if that might work.
So this is a smart object. So, not 100% sure how to do that. Oh, maybe. I may just leave it. I'm not like super skilled in Photoshop, so with these like more like effects and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. David was asking if you have made any of your fonts. I know we talked about that a little bit yesterday, but if you can share with everyone today.
Yeah, so I've never made fonts. I definitely want to at some point, but I don't feel like I'm skilled enough to do that yet. But I could see myself doing something kind of quirky and fun that doesn't have many like rules, because it's almost like the imperfections are like part of the font and like add to it. Because I'm definitely not that skilled to do something like some beautiful sans serif font or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like he said he feels like he would make awesome ones, and I totally agree. I think based on your style, like some super funky retro style fonts would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it recently. I think it would definitely be really fun.
I almost feel like with the one you're using, it might just be kind of freehand, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't even seem like it really has any rhyme or reason.
No, yeah. I really like it. I think I found it on Behance, I'm pretty sure. And I think it was just from, like, I don't think it was from a type foundry. It was just from like a designer.
Manya asks, what happens if they reject all the logo design options?
I haven't had that happen, but I think I would just like you'd count that as a part of revisions, and just I think logos I would just redesign them further. And if they are like not happy with a lot of it, I would just ask them further for like more mood boards and more inspiration, just so you're really clear on like what they're envisioning. Otherwise it can be a little bit risky.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I may make some business cards now.
So you're just kind of doing these as mock-ups, right? Not like a legit business card that would be printed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'll probably design these in Illustrator first. That would be a smart way to do it. I'm like having a brain freeze. Okay, I'm pretty sure business cards are, I think they're 90 millimeters by 55, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think that's
that looks right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just design this in Illustrator briefly, and then I'll just drop it onto mockups, I think, in Photoshop, and just use the same paper texture that I scanned in.
Cool.
Let's see. Use my name. Pretend I'm the founder of Bear.
You're the CEO.
Yeah.
Jordan asks, I saw you had a physical box of the mock-up. Did you have to change the size of the artboard for the print, or did you have that in mind when you were making the board?
So I did have that in mind. I just did US letter. And so a lot of my projects I try to fit them on a US letter size. Otherwise I'd need to go to a print shop that has a bigger printer to print off a bigger project. But when I did print it, you can see this one was quite smaller. And then when I printed it, I realized it could go a bit bigger. So I just scaled up the entire thing. Obviously you can't do that for real client projects. You can't just scale things however you want, but because it's a personal project, I just scaled it up basically as much as I could to fit on US letter size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Val asks, when talking to clients, what is the hardest part for you?
I think I don't know. I think it's really important to understand where their head's at, and getting a good gauge on what they're envisioning. So I think sometimes it can be kind of tricky navigating or trying to understand what they want, especially if they're being a little bit vague. But yeah, I think, as I said earlier, just always making sure you're super clear on things and asking tons of questions and just making sure you're on the same page and everything like that is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. She said, for me, I used to and still do sometimes get a lot of anxiety naming my price. I definitely feel that. Yeah, that's always a nerve-wracking thing because you're like, oh, am I going to go too low or too high? And if you name a price and the client goes, okay, great. You're like, no, I went too low.
Yeah. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll offer a range. And that, well, not a range, but I'll do 2 different prices for different needs, I guess. So one will be a bigger package, and then one will be a smaller package, I guess, just so they have options, and you can kind of feel out what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's great advice too. Just kind of tiering it a little bit. And then sometimes I have always found too, when you do that the client will usually end up going for a middle range or higher package because they kind of see those extra things that you can give them, and they're like, oh, well, this makes more sense. And
yeah, definitely. I was gonna mention, this is so bad of me, but I noticed my battery is very low. My monitor normally charges my laptop. It's so bad, but should I grab my charger?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
sorry guys.
No worries. Maybe we can go on standby real quick. Is it right there, or do you have to grab it?
It's just in the other room.
Okay.
I can also try just unplugging my monitor and plugging it back in. It would still, but I'm not sure how that would mess things up for you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's just
sorry,
go on
guys.
standby.
Don't
No
want it to-
problem. No worries.
to drop off.
No problem. We will be back in 2 minutes and Sarah
Okay.
will get her charger. All right,
Okay.
we are back and charging up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird that it wasn't charging, but it's working now, which is good.
Yes, thank you everyone for your patience.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
So yeah, I'm thinking for the business card as well. I may, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I might just make the mock-up with myself with this paper texture here. So yeah, just assembling the business card.
I love the fruit. Looks so cute.
Yeah, I'm trying to add some like brand assets to it to make it look a little more on branded. I might even make these off-white just so I get a better feel for it.
David asks, what was the reason for the move to the US out of New Zealand?
So I like have all my family in the States. So I kind of knew I would come back eventually. So yeah, I felt like it was, I don't know, it just seemed like the right time. Also, I was like kind of ready to make the jump from working like in a studio to freelancing. And so I felt like it would be a good time to switch to freelance and also just move at the same time for like setting, because I wouldn't want to set up a business in New Zealand and like LLCs and all that and then have to switch everything over. So it kind of seemed like good timing. And I was like missing my family and COVID and everything. And so yeah, it's nice to be back, but I do miss like the nature and everything for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. It looks like such a beautiful place. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, and the people are just so nice as well. It's just such a fun place to be.
And so are you originally from Texas?
No, I'm actually from Arizona.
Okay.
I had never been to Texas actually before moving here. But my boyfriend and I moved here and he used to live here. So he's kind of familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's cute.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like what could be some sort of other information I can balance out on the last side.
Maybe just like the website, even though you have it in the email.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I might try to make a little mouse cursor really quick too.
I had to Google bearskin.com to see what would come up.
I feel like something probably would come up.
It's actually an open website.
No way. Whoa.
You can buy it. It says click for inquiries.
Whoa. I would have thought, I was like, oh, it's kind of a generic name, but it just looks so good as a logo.
I know. So anyone want to start a new business, there you go. So once you finish up these business cards, we can jump over to the artist spotlight whenever you feel like you're at a good stopping point.
Okay, cool. I'll just line this up and then I think that should be good.
Do you feel like sometimes when you're designing, do you tend to, like here, I saw you got rid of the first design that you did. Do you end up kind of like as you're going along getting new ideas and then making that the final design?
Like in an ideal world, like typically if it's not as fast paced as like, you know, a 2-hour, you know, Adobe Live, like I would do it longer. And I do tend to try to like step it out. So once I kind of like something, I'll copy and paste it and then do something else and something else, just so I can go back to the old versions if I need to. But I haven't been very good about it this time in the Adobe Live. But yeah, that would be ideal.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, let's hop over for the artist spotlight.
Cool. I'll just pull that up now.
All right.
Cool.
So we have Nico Mukilan. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but Nico, congratulations. We have chosen you for today's artist spotlight, and we're just going to kind of scroll through and take a look at your work. And from what I can see right off the bat, it looks awesome.
I know.
Lots of fun colors and fonts.
I know. I feel like I just love the like retro look, and I don't know. I love the sans serif or the serif like condensed fonts, and yeah, the like ink bleed. It's just so cool.
Yeah, so awesome. Like very retro, and reminds me a little bit of some of the work that you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm very inspired by him and his work, and I love the like dreamy. It almost feels kind of like nostalgic and just like very wholesome and warm. And yeah, I don't know. I really like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like something I've seen. I don't know if it's like old 90s ads or something. Like what era is this? Would you
maybe even 80s? Like this for some reason kind of feels 80s to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, very like retro for sure.
Yeah, so cool.
Even with like the photography as well. He's good with like illustrations and icons and stuff, but also like photography, which is really cool. And yeah, I feel like he's got quite a versatile style as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, Nico, I'm wondering if you're here watching this. If you are, absolutely beautiful work, like really cool. And I'd love to know if you do some of the photography yourself, or if it's stock, and a little bit about your process if you happen to be here. Yeah,
I love this font as well. It's such a quirky, like everything comes and goes in waves. It's so cool.
Oh, so cool.
And I feel go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I have a feeling he uses the font New Spirit a lot, which is like one of my favorite fonts right now.
Ooh,
I feel like I can spot that font. It's such a good font.
New Spirit, you said?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm pretty sure it's an Adobe font as well. It's a very good font.
Yeah. I love like the classic shapes. Like it just very like, you know, I'm at a loss for words. I'm not sure.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like for example, that one, just cool. A circle right in the center, and yeah, like it's so cool, and it makes a really nice design.
Yeah. And the colors as well. I love the way he uses like the muted colors. I think he's definitely like got a good eye for color for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, this one's pretty cool.
Ooh. I love that.
I feel like he would be good at doing like album art too. Like this just feels like a very like, I don't know. I've always wanted to do like an album art project, and I'm like, I feel like this would be like right up his alley. It's so cool.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I could totally see that.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, it's like Pink Floyd or something for sure.
Yeah. I think he may even have an Etsy as well, which is pretty cool. I think he sells his prints. This one's nice as well.
Ooh.
I like the little Nico logo. It's
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it definitely looks like New Spirit, I think.
I have to write this down. Check out this font.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like the condensed serif fonts are like very in right now. Or just any retro font for that matter seems very in right now, which I love.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, I feel like it takes a lot of skill to like make something look nice with like not much as well. Like this, for example, it's like quite minimal in a way, but it still looks so cool.
I know. It's so awesome. Like I love how it's just very, very simple.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Really like drives the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, like having this such a nostalgic feeling. Like I'm imagining looking through my mom's old 17 magazines. I don't know why she had all of them, but they're really fun to look at, and I can like picture these ads in there.
Oh, it looks like he was doing a poster series too. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Maybe it was like that poster day challenge that people did for a while.
Oh
yeah, poster every day.
Daily poster. Wow, that's like I don't think I could. I tried to do the 36 days of type one time, and it's just so tough. I admire the dedication.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how people are able to produce full designs like every single day. I feel like that would be so tough. I just started this 100-day challenge where you can do pretty much like anything you want for 100 days, whether it be creative or just something good for you. And so I'm just doing like a little sketch in my sketchbook every day for 100 days. But I feel like even that is going to be too hard.
That's good though. I think that's like meditative too. And like just a night, like that's a nice habit, I think, for sure.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm on day 3 today. So.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Awesome work, Nico. Congratulations. And thank you for sharing your portfolio with us. And again, anyone who wants to submit your own portfolio or a friend's, do so under the artist spotlight, and you might have a chance to get featured here on Adobe Live.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely very inspiring work.
Yeah, I know. I'm like feeling like I want to create something after this stream now.
Okay, cool. So we're just working on business cards, as I mentioned earlier. I think I might start assembling this now. Okay, so I'm just trying to get the sizing for the business card right.
So you're making like the full background here in Photoshop and then putting the business cards on it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Well, this background looks a little bit funny. Yeah, I think it would have been cool to find a business card mock-up just so it looked a little bit more believable, but I also wanted it to match the aesthetic of those soap mock-ups. So it's kind of tricky to find mock-ups that all have like a similar like aesthetic in terms of how they've been shot. So that's kind of why I'm just making it up as I go.
Yeah, this looks really good though. Like just a little subtle drop shadow helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's nice too when people put together like on Creative Market or any of the other sites, like when people put together a full branding package, so you can use that for your mock-up, you know?
Yeah.
And everything has the same aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why it can be fun to just shoot your mock-ups as well, or just shoot the product. Yeah. Could do like a soft drop shadow or like a very hard like direct sunlight drop shadow.
To like stand back.
Yeah.
Maybe like softened a little bit. I feel like
yeah, that's a good idea.
I kind of like that. I like the shape and the harsh lines of it, but maybe just soften like a hair.
Okay, cool. Yeah, true. Okay, let's do that.
Val asked if either of us are inspired by any movies or TV shows. I'll let you answer first.
Ooh, this is kind of a random movie, but the first one that comes to mind is have you seen Baby Driver?
No.
It's such a good movie. It's kind of like, I don't know, it came out a few years ago, but it's very like, the cinematography is cool and there's like lots of music incorporated, and I think even in the intro scene there's like a clip of the guy walking down the street and there's like graffiti, but it's like the typography is kind of like interactive, like with the music. It's super cool. And yeah, I love movies where like the cinematography is really nice. Euphoria, the TV show, is cool. Like it's very inspiring, like all the makeup and the cinematography and everything. Yeah, definitely a good one as well.
Yes.
Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on Euphoria. I feel like that I love like the colors and the cinematography, and I believe that, I don't know if they did both seasons on film, but I think this season was done on film. Yeah. Which is really cool. I just wish that the story had a bit more substance to it. I feel like that kind of fell off the train, but but yeah, I love Euphoria.
Yeah, I heard with the director, I think he was kind of like freestyling a lot of it, and it was just kind of crazy, but
could tell.
But it was fun to watch though, for sure.
Totally. I know, like I felt like some episodes I was so enthralled with it, and then other episodes I just was like, this doesn't really quite do it, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty back and forth for sure.
Yeah, I know. I think, that's a good one for inspiration. I'm trying to think of other ones. I feel like for me, it tends to oftentimes be like I'm watching something regardless of what it is, and there's maybe like one scene that just is really interesting and cool and kind of maybe fits in with like the style of work that I do. And then it sparks this whole idea of, oh, what if I had like a person underwater and then above them was this and this and this, and but I never know directly like where it came from.
Nice. I mean, that's probably a good thing if you can't directly point it to one thing, because I feel like that's more true to you in a way. Like if you like have direct inspiration, it's like, but if it's just random, I feel like it's, you know, your true style.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Val recommends Abstract on Netflix. That's such a cool show.
I've seen a few episodes of that.
Yeah, really, really inspiring. Like each episode's a different designer or artist and talking about their different aspects of life. And it's just so cool to see, from typography through like photography, printmaking, all sorts of things. And I feel like I step away from that show with something new every time.
Yeah, definitely. It's so good. Yeah, I think in university I watched it a little bit because a lot of my classmates were talking about it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I honestly am even inspired by like cooking shows.
Oh, no way. That's cool though.
We were randomly watching Is It Cake because we were just so bored and like, let's throw something on in the background. And it's honestly very annoying, but sometimes you see something on a show like that, whether it's cake or cooking in general, and you're like, oh, what if I made like a big sculpture of a cake and did this to it or whatever. I don't know, but you know, it's really fun to see where random inspiration comes from. Yeah, that's so funny. Is it a good show then? It just seems like such a weird concept for a TV show. No, it's not good at all. Okay. I highly don't recommend watching it. Okay. So weird. I saw it come up in the recommended on Netflix the other day. Did they really make a show out of this? I know. I'm like, so why? Why? Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And why it keeps coming up in recommended, I don't know. Yeah. I've seen a lot on TikTok about is it soap or not looking at soap, is it cake or not? But yeah, I didn't realize they'd make a whole show out of it. So I know. Funny. Very weird. But yeah, who knows where inspiration will find itself. Yeah. Sometimes with these projects as well, if I wanted to build out like a really big case study, you could even do different SKUs, like different like flavors and stuff, or fragrances, I guess you would call it, to build it out further if you wanted to, and just like how the brand works with like, if this was all like coconut flavored and you use browns and creams and stuff, and how the brand can work with, because I don't think I envision this brand's primary color being orange. I think it could vary depending on like what flavor it is, because I think the logo has so much personality too that the color doesn't need to stay consistent in order for you to recognize the brand. Yeah, so true. Yeah, so would you then typically, like, again, let's say this was a client project, would you get through to this point and then start branching out into different scents of the soap, or would you start doing that early on? I would do that because I would probably get approval for like all the artwork on the dye line with just one SKU first. Yeah, just because it doesn't, I wouldn't want to spend the time doing other SKUs and then they go, oh, can we have a bunch of changes? And I just let them know beforehand, we'll just do one SKU for now, and then you can approve it, and then we'll do more SKUs. Because usually they're quite similar in composition and everything. It's just like changing out some of the call outs and like colors and things. So that's what I would do probably. Cool. Yeah, interesting to know like where these things fall in kind of in your timeline. Yeah, and I think it's different with every client and like what they're wanting and stuff too, like especially with like smaller clients, it just changes so much. So yeah, I don't have like a super structured routine for that. Yeah, really interesting. So we have about a little less than 10 minutes left here. Any final questions that you all have for Sara, please send them our way. And I'll let you finish up here, Sara. A few housekeeping things. Stay tuned for the XD Creative Challenge Encores right after the stream, where we will continue the logo theme challenge, followed by a new episode of Graphic Glow Up with Voodoo Val, who has been so graciously answering all of our questions in the chat and helping us out here. This week, Val will show you how to paint light and shadow in Photoshop. Oh, one of my favorite things to do. So much fun. So I might have to join in on that, Val. Sounds awesome. And then Adobe Live will be back tomorrow for the final creative encores of the logo theme challenges, followed by a new episode of Office Hours with Nick Longo and Andrew Hock-Rottle. And as a final reminder, Adobe Live will not be airing the master classes tomorrow due to a global day off. Everyone needs that time off, and Adobe takes it too. David S. Says, I'm starting a new role next week at a branding agency similar size to FUMAN. Any advice on what to expect?
I don't know. I mean, I think just like be easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, because I remember when I like first started at FUMAN and like other internships and stuff, it's so intimidating, especially like being around so many talented people and they know like where all the files are located, they know the routine. And I think just be easy on yourself, and everybody knows you're new. And I don't know, I think it's good to be excited as well to work around so many talented people. I don't think there's much you need to do to prepare. I think if they've hired you, then they obviously see a lot of talent in you. So yeah.
Yes, such good advice. David, I think you'll do great.
Yeah, I think so too. It's such an exciting time too, like getting a new job at a design studio and everything. It's like, yeah, very fun. And I'm sure you'll learn lots, and it'll be like a very valuable experience, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Let's see. Got a few more things coming in for you. Jordan says, was it difficult to get into the industry? Was the process of getting internships and jobs rough?
I think as long as you take the baby steps, like start with internships and then kind of build your resume, and then the jobs will come a little bit more naturally. I think as many internships as you can get. Well, not as many, you don't want to be constantly switching jobs, but I guess maybe 2 internships if you can. Sometimes if you're open to doing unpaid, which I think personally they should pay interns always, but if you're open to be unpaid, you could even position it as I've always thought you could position it as a volunteer position, because who would say no to a volunteer? And then if you can kind of wiggle your way in, you can move up. And I think all those transition steps make the end result not as hard to get to when you're taking those steps to get there.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
A few people were suggesting on the etching on the soap, maybe just doing the bee from Bear or a tangerine icon, just some fun different options.
That would be a good idea.
That'd be really cute.
Yeah.
But we are almost out of time, but I'll let you try that out real quick.
Yeah, feel free to whenever you're ready. I'll just I may not finish this one, but you guys, I'll just scroll through this right now so you can kind of get a look at where I'm at. So yeah, just logos, primary and secondary, artwork on the die line. This would be fun to post on some sort of social media, and it kind of gives the overall vibe. One of the SKUs, you could even branch this out into different SKUs, which would be cool, with different colors. And yeah, just some mock-ups, business cards. So I think it would give the client a good feel on how their brand would live in different scenarios and stuff like that.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
This is so good and
Yeah.
such a great example of what really shows off your work for a client and the best way to kind of present that final design. And you did some incredible work during the past 2 days. So be sure
Ooh.
to watch the replay of day one if you all missed that. And any of you that missed today, be sure to watch this replay as well, which will live on Behance and YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Sara, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here with us on Adobe Live. And everyone in the chat, I hope you have a great weekend and a great week, and take care.
Cool.
Bye.
See ya.